Good morning, friends, and happy Tuesday. I know it's been a week without the news. I was traveling and then I was tired and sick, but we are back at it today. I'm Xavier, and it's time for the Morning Roundup. I do this little newscast Monday through Friday, and I try to pull the stories that have more of a spotlight for the Black community, and I try to do it in under 10 minutes. Today, we'll see. I'm going to try and still keep it within 10 minutes, but I am covering about 2 days worth of news, or rather attempting to. Bear with me. Today is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. Here's today's news just for you. First up from Charlottesville, Virginia. 3 people have been killed and 2 others were wounded in a shooting at a parking garage at the University of Virginia. The shooting that happened around 10:30 p.m. Sunday resulted in 3 fatalities. 2 additional victims were injured and are receiving medical care. This is from President Jim Ryan, and he stated this in a letter to the university community posted on social media. He identified the suspect as Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. The university's emergency management issued an alert Sunday night notifying the campus community of an active shooter firearm. The message warned students to shelter in place following a report of shots fired on Culbreth Road on the northern outskirts of campus. Classes were canceled Monday. The UVA Police Department posted a notice online saying multiple police agencies, including the state police, were searching for a suspect who was considered armed and dangerous. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives said agents were responding to the campus to assist in the investigation. Ryan's letter confirmed the suspect, who he said was a student, was still at large as of Monday morning. Next, Walmart offers to pay $3.1 billion to settle an opioid lawsuits, therefore becoming the latest major player in the drug industry to announce a plan to settle lawsuits filed by state and local governments over the toll of powerful prescription opioids sold at its pharmacy with state and local governments across the U.S. The $3.1 billion proposal filed similar announcement as of November 2nd from 2 of the largest U.S. pharmacy chains, CVS Health and Walgreens Company, which each said they would pay about $5 billion. The deals are the product of negotiations with a group of state attorney generals, but they're not final. The CVS and Walgreens deals would have to be accepted first by a critical mass of state and local governments before they are completed. Walmart's plan would have to be approved by 43 states. The formal process has not yet begun. The national pharmacies joined some of the biggest drug makers and drug distributors in settling complex lawsuits over their alleged roles in an opioid overdose epidemic that has been linked to more than 500,000 deaths in the U.S. over the past 2 decades. The tally of proposed and finalized settlements in recent years is more than $50 billion, with most of that being used by governments to combat the crisis. Next, from Pflugerville, Texas. A middle school teacher in Texas has been fired after a video posted on social media showed him telling students his race is superior. Deep down in my heart, I'm ethnocentric, which means I think my race is the superior one. The teacher was recorded telling students of various races last week inside a classroom at Bowles Middle School, a 6th through 8th grade school in Pflugerville, about 18 miles northeast of Austin. In a statement Monday, Douglas Killian, the superintendent of the Pflugerville Independent School District, described the discussion as inappropriate, inaccurate, and unacceptable, and said this type of interaction will not be tolerated in any of the district schools. As of Monday morning, November 14th, the teacher in question is no longer employed by Pflugerville ISD, and we are actively looking for a replacement, he said. Next up, from Georgia. A shorter voting window could cut turnout in Georgia runoff. Georgia Democrat Raphael Warnock's first runoff in 2021 was a titanic 9-week clash to control the Senate, and that included 3 weeks of early in-person voting and lots of mail ballots. Georgia requires a runoff if a candidate doesn't win a majority in the party primary or in the general election. Neither Warnock nor Republican Herschel Walker got to 50%. Under Georgia's 2021 election law, there will be only 4 weeks before the runoff, with Thanksgiving in the middle. Many Georgians will be offered only 5 weekdays of early in-person voting beginning November 28th. No one who wasn't on the rolls before November 8th can register to vote now. The last day to register was November 7th. Mail ballots can be requested now through November 28th. About 150,000 people who voted by mail in the November election will automatically be mailed a ballot for the runoff. But according to the Associated Press, they found some counties were slow to mail ballots before the primary runoff, therefore raising questions about whether voters could receive and return them in time. Opponents of Georgia's voting laws say changes to mail voting hurt voters, disputing Republican claims that high turnout proves the law didn't hurt anyone. Next, from Pennsylvania. 3 ex-Pennsylvania police officers pled guilty in the shooting of an 8-year-old girl who was killed by a stray bullet. 3 former police officers who were charged with killing an 8-year-old girl after they opened fire in the direction of a crowd leaving a high school football game in suburban Philadelphia pleaded guilty Thursday to 10 counts each of reckless endangerment. The negotiated pleas included a dismissal of manslaughter and involuntary manslaughter. Charges were against the 3 former Sharon Hill borough officers, Sean Dolan, 26, Devin Smith, 35, and Brian Devaney, 42, in the August 2021 death of Fanta Ability. Prosecutors said the plea deal was reached in consultation with the girl's family, who said ending the case was necessary so relatives could start healing. The shooting happened after 2 teenagers fired shots at each other outside the football game and fled. The officers heard the shots and told other officers they believed the gunfire had come from a car that was driving toward them. Devaney was not wearing a body camera, and the other 2 officers did not turn their cameras on. This is what was found by the investigators. The 3 fired 25 shots toward the car and the crowd of people leaving the game in the small borough near Philadelphia International Airport. 4 people were wounded, 3 by police gunfire, and Fanta was killed. Ballistics testing could not determine which officer fired the shot that killed her, but a grand jury recommended that all 3 face charges. The Ability family has filed a federal lawsuit against Dolan, Devaney, Smith, and the Sharon Hill Borough Police Department. Next, from DC. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, in her first opinion since taking office over the summer, dissented Monday to the Supreme Court's decision regarding an Ohio death row inmate's claim. Justice Jackson, joined by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, said the court should have ruled for DeVell Chin, who was convicted of a 1989 murder in Dayton during a robbery. Instead, the court rejected Chin's appeal. Chin's lawyers argued that the prosecutors had withheld evidence that a key witness, Marvin Washington, was severely mentally disabled with an IQ of 48. Washington had identified Chin as the shooter. Justice Jackson wrote in an opinion dissenting from the court's decision to reject Chin's claim that there was no dispute that the state had suppressed evidence that would have undermined Washington's credibility as a witness. Under a 1963 Supreme Court ruling called Brady v. Maryland, such conduct can constitute a due process violation. Justice Jackson's dissent is linked below. From Hollywood. Black Panther sequel scores the second biggest debut of 2022 with the long-awaited release of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The Marvel sequel earned $180 million in ticket sales from more than 4,396 theaters in the US and Canada, according to estimates from the Walt Disney Company on Sunday, making it the second biggest opening of the year behind Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Overseas, it brought in an additional $150 million from 50 territories, bringing its worldwide total for $330 million. The first film opened to $202 million in February 2018 and went on to gross over $1.4 billion worldwide, making it one of the highest-grossing films of all time and a cultural phenomenon. A sequel was inevitable and development began soon after, but everything changed after Chadwick Boseman's unexpected death in August of 2020. Wakanda Forever became instead about the death of Boseman's King T'Challa, the Black Panther, and the grieving kingdom he left behind. Returning actors include Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, Letitia Wright, Winston Duke, and Denai Guerrera, who face off against new foe in Tana Hurta's Namor. Well, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Keep up with me on Instagram at The Morning Roundup. I also have another show called The Black Case Files, where I do more of a deep dive on murders, mysteries, conspiracies, and history, focusing on people of color. That show is always linked below. Make sure you're ready. Thanks so much, friends, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.